Given a fair chance, Americans have never, ever, ever, ever let their country down.
What are the hardest US states to invade? America is like a beacon of freedom, a global superpower. But what if the unthinkable happens? Imagine a fractured America, the national fabric torn apart not by internal strife, but by an external force targeting the states themselves. Could the individual states, each with its unique strengths and vulnerabilities, repel an invasion on their own? The very notion of individual states facing invasion seems like a page ripped from an alternate history book. Yet how strong is strong enough when the states are forced to stand alone? This isn't about a united front against a distant threat. And in that case, here are the hardest states to invade in the US. Florida. Florida is one of the hardest states to invade, and let's say the invading force, having meticulously planned their attack, will be confident that they can swiftly secure a foothold in this prized state. Their intelligence will have identified several major cities, Miami, Jacksonville, and Tampa, as prime targets to establish control and a launching point for further operations. But as the troops begin to disembark, they will quickly realize that the Sunshine State's geographic challenges are no mere mirage. The lengthy 1,350-mile coastline will stretch out before them, offering numerous potential landing sites. The invaders will have set their sights on these bustling urban centers, with their ports and beaches as ripe for the taking. However, the sheer scale of the coastline will mean they must divide their forces, scrambling to secure multiple beachheads simultaneously. Chaos will quickly ensue as the troops struggle to coordinate their movements, leaving gaps that alert local defenders can exploit. As the invaders push inland, they will encounter another formidable obstacle: the vast swamps and wetlands that dominate much of Florida's interior. The Everglades in particular will prove to be a labyrinth of dense vegetation and saturated terrain that bog down their armored vehicles and supply convoys. Attempts to traverse this treacherous landscape will be met with ambushes from local militias, who know every nook and cranny of this hostile environment. The invaders' troubles will only mount as they encounter Florida's robust military presence. Key installations like MacDill Air Force Base and Naval Station Mayport will have been quickly mobilized, unleashing a barrage of air support and naval firepower that disrupt the invaders' attempts to establish a cohesive front. The integration of active duty personnel and the well-equipped National Guard will have created a multi-layered defense that proves incredibly difficult to penetrate. Even as the invaders wrestle with the geographic and military challenges, they will find themselves facing an even more formidable adversary: the people of Florida themselves. The state's diverse population, united by a deep sense of local pride, will rise up to resist the occupation. Civilians and law enforcement will join the fray, employing guerrilla tactics that mirror the successful strategies of the Seminole Wars. In the urban centers, the invaders will encounter a nightmare of street-to-street combat as the defenders leverage the chaos of the cities against their conventional tactics. So as the days turn into weeks, the invaders' initial momentum will grind to a halt. Overextended supply lines, dwindling resources, and the constant harassment from local forces will combine to create a perfect storm of defeat. The invading army will find itself trapped in a control, unable to consolidate control or break into the battle line. Ultimately, the would-be conquerors of the Sunshine State will have learned a hard lesson. Underestimating the power of Florida's geography, military might, and human spirit is a fatal mistake. But enough about Florida, let's move on to the next one: Hawaii. This idyllic paradise, famous for its extraordinary landscapes, rich cultural heritage, and important military significance, presents a formidable array of obstacles that would make any such attempt an exceedingly daunting challenge. To truly grasp the hurdles involved in invading Hawaii, we must consider the island's past. One of the most notable instances of military action against Hawaii happened during World War II, when Japan launched the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. This strategic assault aimed to cripple the United States Pacific Fleet and minimize any interference with Japan's expansion throughout Southeast Asia. Interestingly, while Japan contemplated initiating a full-scale invasion after the bombing, they ultimately decided to concentrate on aerial assaults instead of ground invasions due to logistical challenges and the need for maintaining air superiority. This historical context underscores that the strategic importance of Hawaii transcends its stunning coastlines and lush landscapes. Positioned about 2,400 miles away from the US mainland, launching any military action against these islands is an incredibly complicated task that requires meticulous planning and a heap of resources. The geographic features of Hawaii present impressive obstacles for any potential invader. Comprising 8 primary landmasses, Hawaii has Oahu as its most significant island, hosting key military installations and a dense population. The varied terrain includes soaring mountains, thick forests, and dramatic coastal cliffs, all of which could serve as natural defenses against a ground invasion. Moreover, the isolation of Hawaii plays a crucial role in its defense. For an invading army, the challenge of crossing vast ocean distances to reach these islands would make their logistical support and supply lines easy targets for US naval forces. Historical insights reveal that seizing control of Hawaii would demand at least 2 divisions of troops, around 30,000 soldiers, along with substantial naval backup. Maintaining such a large force over extended distances presents significant logistical challenges that could easily derail any operational success. Plus, the US has established a robust military presence in Hawaii, and this infrastructure would be paramount in defending against an invasion. As of August 2024, there are approximately 44,423 active duty troops stationed in Hawaii. This substantial concentration of military resources lays a strong foundation for defending the islands from potential aggressors. Besides sheer troop strength, Hawaii also boasts advanced air defense systems built to protect vital installations like Pearl Harbor from aerial attacks. Any invading force would likely kick off their mission with airstrikes aimed at disabling these defenses. However, achieving air superiority is not just necessary, it's critical for the success of an invasion, which would call for strategic planning and an abundance of resources. Picture an invasion of Hawaii as a multi-phase military operation, starting with a significant airstrike followed by a ground assault. The first action for any invading army would include launching an intense aerial campaign focused on neutralizing US defenses at Pearl Harbor and other critical military installations scattered throughout the islands. If the invaders managed to establish air superiority, the next step would be an amphibious assault on Oahu. Potential landing zones could be along the shores near Halewa or in Kaneohe Bay, areas that were even considered in historical Japanese plans. However, this operation would face immediate pushback from US forces, who would be entrenched in their defensive positions across the island. Local defenders' determination and overall morale would have a significant impact on how this invasion plays out. Connected deeply to their homeland, the residents of Hawaii might band together to support their military forces, employing both conventional tactics and guerrilla-style warfare strategies to push back against the invaders. While an invasion of Hawaii might initially seem achievable under certain conditions, such as reaching overwhelming air superiority, the reality is that practical challenges render it exceedingly daunting. The interplay of geographic isolation, a strong US military presence, potential resistance from local communities, and significant logistical hurdles create a formidable wall of obstacles for any would-be invading force. Hawaii epitomizes not only natural beauty, but also holds immense strategic importance in global military dynamics. History has shown that even when invaders might enjoy initial successes in air assaults or landings, sustaining control over such a remote region against committed defenders is fraught with difficulty. The complexities of a potential invasion remind us that geography can decisively shape the course of military conflicts, and in this case, it heavily favors the brave souls who call Hawaii home. Would any invader really dare to think about the lengths they would have to go through to conquer this resilient paradise? Colorado? Imagine a world where an invading force sets its sights on Colorado. Just the thought of such an audacious attempt is enough to make even the most experienced military strategists take a step back and reconsider their life choices. This state is not just rugged, it's an impenetrable fortress, boasting an unforgiving mountainous landscape, a significant military presence, and a fiercely independent populace. With all these elements combined, any attempt to conquer Colorado would become a daunting, if not impossible, challenge. At the core of Colorado's incredible defense is its astonishing geography. Glance at the horizon and you are met with the majestic Rocky Mountains, towering giants that seem to scrape the sky. These natural barriers serve as more than just a scenic view. They act as a powerful deterrent against any invading force that might dare to encroach on Colorado's territory. Picture an army trying to push through the steep inclines, navigate the deep canyons, and forge paths through dense forests. It's difficult terrain by any standard. This isn't just an obstacle course. This jagged landscape is a tactical advantage for those who truly understand and know how to maneuver through it. Any would-be invader would quickly realize they have walked into a well-laid trap, becoming ensnared in ambushes orchestrated by local militias that are exceptionally familiar with the rugged environment. The high elevation and daunting topography would limit the movement of heavy machinery, forcing the invaders to depend on lighter, faster units. But here's the catch: those units aren't made for extended battles in such notoriously harsh conditions. mountains, the beauty that attracts so many to Colorado. The stunning mountains and breathtaking vistas double as weapons in the hands of the state's defenders. But let's not forget one of the most important layers of Colorado's defense, its military presence. This state doesn't skimp on firepower. Home to several critical military installations, including the illustrious United States Air Force Academy and Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado is a hive of military capability. Thousands of highly trained personnel are always at the ready, their fingers hovering over deployment buttons, prepared to spring into action at a moment's notice. Imagine the scene if an invasion were to occur. U.S. Air Force jets would quickly rise above the clouds, maneuvering with agility to intercept enemy forces before they could even establish a toehold in the state. That immediate air superiority can create enormous headaches for any invading army. They face not just ground-level resistance, but also aerial bombardments. Talk about a nightmare scenario for a would-be conqueror. The Colorado National Guard adds another layer of security. Strategically positioned throughout the state, they can mobilize with exceptional speed to respond to any threats. It's a well-oiled machine, with full-time military members and reserve forces working in unison. This intricate web of defense is ready to react effectively to any attempted takeover, forming a barrier that is not easily breached. Then there's the heart of Colorado's defense, the civilian population. These are not just any civilians. Coloradans pride themselves on self-reliance, independence, and readiness to defend. Many locals are armed and eager to protect their homes should the need arise. This armed populace would not simply stand idly by. They could become active participants in thwarting any invading forces, employing unconventional tactics that would catch any intruders off guard. Imagine small, agile units of locals, well acquainted with the rugged land, launching attacks on unsuspecting supply routes or communication lines. It paints a vivid picture reminiscent of those exhilarating scenes in movies like Red Dawn, where regular citizens transform into local heroes, creating chaos amidst enemy ranks. United by a powerful sense of community and a shared identity, Coloradans can rally together, forming organized resistance movements that would turn any invasion plan into a logistical nightmare. Faced with this multifaceted defense umbrella, any attempt to invade Colorado would confront a myriad of insurmountable obstacles. From the state's intimidating geography and steadfast military installations to the unyielding spirit of its people, Colorado stands as a relentless bastion against the threats that might come its way. The combination of daunting landscapes with the fierce determination and unwavering resilience of its defenders creates a complex tapestry of resistance that would challenge even the most seasoned invading force. Colorado stands unwavering, ready to defend its way of life against any force that dares to diminish its sovereignty. In this state, the message is crystal clear: conquer at your own peril. California. Invading California would pose significant challenges due to its extensive military infrastructure and strategic geographic features. The state is home to the highest number of military bases in the United States, including key installations such as Naval Base San Diego, Camp Pendleton, and Edwards Air Force Base. These facilities house tens of thousands of active duty personnel and are critical for naval and air operations in the Pacific. This robust military presence ensures that California can quickly mobilize forces to defend against any potential threat, making it a formidable barrier to invasion. California's diverse geography further complicates any invasion attempt. With its vast landscapes ranging from coastal areas and urban centers to mountains and deserts, the state offers both natural defenses and logistical challenges for an invading force. The extensive coastline, while providing potential access points for amphibious landings, is heavily monitored by naval forces, making it difficult for an enemy to establish a foothold. Additionally, the state's major highways facilitate rapid movement for defenders, allowing them to respond quickly to any incursions. Local resistance would also play a crucial role in thwarting an invasion. Californians have a strong sense of identity and pride in their state, which could galvanize grassroots efforts to defend against foreign aggressors. The high rate of gun ownership among residents means that many individuals would be prepared to take up arms in defense of their communities. This potential for organized civilian resistance, combined with the swift mobilization of military forces, creates a robust defense that would significantly hinder any invasion attempt, making California one of the most fortified states in the US. Alaska. Ever thought about invading Alaska? Yeah, neither has anyone with half a brain. We're looking at a potential invader, maybe Russia or China, because who else has the resources or the audacity? Eyeing Alaska's prime location and natural riches takes some real confidence. But Alaska's geography is already laughing in their faces. Imagine trying to haul an entire invasion force across the Pacific. It's not like you can just hop on a bus. We're talking about crossing an ocean so vast it makes the Atlantic look like a kiddie pool. The logistics alone are enough to give military planners nightmares. And even if they manage that Herculean feat, guess what? They've still got to deal with Canada. Yeah, that's right. The friendly neighbors to the north aren't just going to sit back and watch the show. Any ground invasion would have to plow through Canadian territory. And let me tell you, those folks aren't as polite as you might think when it comes to uninvited guests. But let's say our hypothetical invaders somehow make it to Alaskan soil. Congratulations. You've just entered nature's very own gauntlet of doom. Alaska's terrain isn't just tough, it's downright sadistic. We're talking mountains that make Everest look like a speed bump, forests dense, and ice fields that could freeze anything. And the weather? Oh boy, the weather. When it hits 60-degree Fahrenheit, your breath freezes before it leaves your mouth. Unless you're used to these types of things, it is nearly impossible to mobilize an invasion. Alaska's military might is underscored by its strategic geographic location, extensive network of military installations, and significant personnel dedicated to national defense. Home to 9 major military bases, including Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Fort Wainwright, and Eielson Air Force Base. Alaska serves as a critical hub for U.S. military operations in the Arctic and Pacific regions. These installations support various functions, from air superiority and surveillance missions to training troops for extreme Arctic conditions. The presence of facilities like Clear Space Force Station and Fort Greely enhances Alaska's role in missile defense, making it a key player in protecting the U.S. from potential threats. The concentration of military personnel in Alaska is notable, with approximately 20,757 active duty service members, alongside around 7,266 National Guard and Reserve members. This high ratio of military personnel to the state's population is crucial for maintaining readiness and response capabilities in a region that faces unique challenges due to its harsh environment. The state's military forces are trained to operate effectively under extreme weather conditions, which not only prepares them for potential conflicts, but also enhances overall operational effectiveness in cold weather environments. Alaska's strategic importance extends beyond its military installations and personnel. Its proximity to potential adversaries such as Russia makes it a vital component of U.S. national security strategy. The Bering Strait, located just 44 miles from Russia, allows for rapid deployment and monitoring of activities in the region. With significant investments in defense infrastructure and advanced missile defense systems, Alaska stands as a formidable fortress against potential threats. Its unique combination of geographic advantages and military capabilities ensures that it remains a critical asset in safeguarding U.S. interests, both domestically and internationally. Sure, the invaders might score a few early wins, maybe capture a town or two if they come up with some kind of miracle, but holding on to those gains, that's almost impossible. The U.S. military isn't going to just roll over, and reinforcements from the lower 48 are coming, weather be damned. Meanwhile, our invaders are stuck there, watching their supplies dwindle and their frostbitten fingers turn black. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The locals. Alaskans aren't your average Americans. These folks are cut from a different cloth. Tough, resilient, and fiercely protective of their home. They've got guns, they know how to use them, and they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. The Alaskan Territorial Guard. They could make a comeback, and we're talking about people who hunt grizzlies for fun suddenly turning their skills on invaders. Again, it's like Red Dawn, but with more snow and bigger beards. So as the conflict heats up, guerrilla warfare becomes the name of the game. Imagine trying to control a territory where every snow-covered hill could hide a militia ready to rain hell on your supply lines. These Alaskans know every nook and cranny of their wild home, and they're using that knowledge to turn the invaders' lives into a frozen hell. It's asymmetric warfare cranked up to 11 with a side of frostbite. Even if by some miracle the invading force manages to grab and hold some key spots, they're in for a world of hurt trying to keep them. Supply lines stretched thinner, constant harassment from locals who pop up like whack-a-moles with guns, and let's not forget about that charming Arctic weather. Morale? What morale? Soldiers are deserting faster than rats from a sinking ship, because turns out being cold, isolated, and shot at isn't great for job satisfaction. Simply put, invading Alaska is about as feasible as using a chocolate teapot. Sure, on paper, with its remote location and sparse population, it might look tempting, but the reality? It's a nightmare cocktail of brutal weather, unforgiving terrain, military might, and a population that's tougher than a $2 steak. So next time you're gazing at a map and your eyes drift up to that big chunk of land next to Canada, remember, that's not just Alaska, that's America's Arctic fortress, standing guard over an entire continent, daring anyone to try their luck. Spoiler alert, they won't. Texas. Imagine trying to invade a place that's basically its own country, complete with an arsenal that would make some nations blush. Texas isn't just big, it's a sprawling, gun-toting, come-and-take-it attitude wrapped in a Lone Star flag. Let's break down why invading Texas would be about as smart as poking a hornet's nest with a short stick. First off, let's talk geography. Texas isn't just huge, it's like Mother Nature decided to throw every terrain she had into one massive state just to mess with invaders. We're talking scorching deserts that'll fry your eggs and your brain, and that's just the appetizer. Head east, and you've got forests denser than any other, perfect for guerrilla warfare that would make Rambo proud. Oh, and let's not forget the Gulf Coast, where the weather is so harsh, and the Texas cities, they aren't just big, they're like concrete jungles on steroids. Dallas, Houston, Austin, each one's a potential Stalingrad waiting to happen. Imagine trying to navigate tanks through streets more confusing than a corn maze designed by MC Escher, and those famous Texas highways. Sure, they look great for moving troops, until every overpass becomes Sniper Central and every exit a death trap. And let's chat about Texas's military might. With over 112,000 active duty personnel, Texas has enough firepower to make some countries look like they're armed with slingshots. Fort Hood isn't just a base, it's like the Pentagon decided to have a Texan baby, and don't even get me started on the Air Force presence. Any invader thinking of a leisurely stroll through Texas airspace is in for a surprise. It's not just about having planes, it's about having enough air power to make the sky rain freedom. But here's the kicker, the real secret weapon of Texas. It's people. Texans don't just own guns, they probably sleep with them under their pillows. The state's got a higher rate of gun ownership than most small countries have people. We're talking about a population where well-regulated militia isn't just a constitutional phrase, it's a way of life. Imagine trying to occupy a place where every other person you meet could be packing more firepower than your average SWAT team. And let's not forget the spirit of Texas. These folks don't just love their state, they worship it with a fervor that makes religious zealots look casual. The second an invader sets foot on Texas soil, you'd see an uprising that would make the French Resistance look like a book club. We're talking about people who turn their tractors into tanks and their hunting rifles into sniper weapons fast. Every hill, every street corner, every Whataburger could become a fortress of resistance. Logistics? Oh boy, that's where things get really fun. Imagine trying to keep an invasion supplied across a state so big you could fit most of Europe inside it. Your supply lines would stretch longer than it should and be very unreliable. Every truck, every convoy would be a target for locals who know the land better than the back of their gun-calloused hands. It's not just about getting supplies in, it's about keeping them from becoming barbecue for the next roadside ambush. In the end, trying to invade Texas isn't just a bad idea. It's the kind of idea that makes you wonder if the invaders have been drinking too much moonshine. It's a state that's not just prepared for invasion, it's practically daring someone to try. The combination of harsh landscapes, military might, and a population more stubborn than a mule with a grudge makes Texas less of a state and more of an impenetrable fortress with really good barbecue. In a world of uncertainties, one thing's for sure, Texas will always be Texas, proud, free, and ready to teach any invader a lesson they won't soon forget. But what's your thoughts on these? Let's know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.